What's going on, guys? Jay Pastrano here.
Eddie Robles here.
What we're going to talk about is real estate.
So we're going to break down a couple of deals that we've done personally. One me and him together, and then another one that I've done with another partner. But we want to just break down the numbers for you guys, so that way you guys can see the potential that there is investing in real estate, not just fixing and flipping or doing wholesaling. This is a different strategy that not many people talk about, but we're going to talk about that today because we think it's something that can really create wealth in the long term and make a big difference in your investing strategy.
And really, what got me started in this strategy myself is because Eddie started doing it. And then I started realizing, dang, you can actually increase the rent you're getting from one singular home by building ADUs. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk you down the steps that we have done to be able to do a actual building an ADU and putting tenants in there, and then refinancing out of it and getting tax-free cash out of there as well, and still keeping the property and still keeping all the rental income that we wanted to have for the property. So step one really is when this guy looks for deals. So he's the professional. I basically put the ball in his court. And Eddie, like, how do you, like, when you look for the house, what's your cue? Like, what are you looking for?
So the most important thing when looking for an investment property is you want to see a home that needs a lot of work, right? Because if the house is beautiful and recently remodeled, that means everyone is going to want to make an offer on that property and pay top dollar for that property. So the key is to find a property that's distressed, needs roof, needs flooring, needs windows, because then there's not going to be many people making offers on that type of property. And so in that case, a lot of times the owner becomes motivated because the home isn't selling. So that way we can get it at a price which is a lot lower than what the market value is. And then we make the offer, which has to be anywhere from 70% of the ARV, which stands for after repair value. So after the home is repaired, this is what it would be worth fixed up. So that is the most important thing. A house that needs work and has a motivated seller is the most important thing when finding a deal.
And what I've noticed too over the years is people have been hitting you up.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying, hey, I have this deal, I have this deal. So it's gotten to the point where you're not even looking for them. Mm-hmm. They're just coming to your lap, which is perfect. And once we found a property that we think is a good project to start doing, is we hit up our lender. And really our lender's job is to basically get us approved so we could get the loan for the main house. We're going to get the loan to rehab the whole house. So if we think we're going to spend about $60,000 to rehab the whole house, we're going to get the rehab loan for that. And then lastly, the construction loan. So if we think we're going to spend about $120,000 to build an ADU or two ADUs, we're also going to get a construction loan for that. Most people think they need to come up with all the money. Mm-hmm. But we have our lender that's going to get us the loans for that as well. So it's not coming out of your own pocket. And really, that's the next step. Mm-hmm. And if you want to have a lender that you can use for that, hit us up because we'll get you in touch with our lender for that.
That's something important that you guys need to know is you don't need all the money up front. A lot of people think they need the money to build, to rehab the property for the down payment, but you actually don't. Okay. You do need money for the down payment, which you could come up with that on your own, or you can bring in an investor that puts up the down payment and then you just pay them an interest or make them a partner. So you don't need a bunch of money if you're going to be using investors. But if you are going to be using your own money, you do need about 80 to 100,000.
Yep.
Depending on your market, we're in California, so houses are 500,000 plus, and so that's kind of the numbers that we've been seeing in our market. So you don't need the money yourself. You could find an investor. We do that a lot.
Yeah.
We work with other investors that let us borrow money, and then we use that to get into the deal, and then we borrow the money from the lender to finance the construction and the rehab of the main house. So this strategy that we're talking about, it's called the BRRRR method. So it's an acronym. So it's BRRRR.
You buy, you rehab, you rent out, you refi, and you repeat. The only thing different that we have done in the last couple of years is we'll actually build ADUs on it because we want to increase the property's value exponentially. So it's not just the main house that's being appraised, it's also going to be one or two additional units, which is going to be the ADU. And on top of that, instead of just collecting rent from one house, we're also collecting it from the second or third one. And that's going to grow your cash flow every single month. And that's the big thing about it. But the next step after we have gotten, let's just say we make an offer, we've gotten approved from the lender and we've closed on the deal. So we now own the property, right? Now, what we do next is then we'll send out our team for the construction of the and rehabbing the main house. So typically, we like to get the whole house fixed up within 30 to 45 days. The reason why is because in the next 45 days, the first mortgage payment's coming up. And our goal is to have it ready so it's staged, and then we can do an open house for all the potential tenants that are going to come in that's interested. So that way they can move in right before we have our very first mortgage payment. So the payment that we start collecting from the tenants, that's what's going to cover the mortgage every month. Most people think, oh, well, if I get the house, then I'm going to have to start covering the mortgage as well. No, you got to fix it quickly so that we could put a tenant in there. And the tenant, whatever rent you're collecting from them, is going to offset the debt from the mortgage. So that way you're not paying for it out of your own pocket.
Yeah, and speed is very important in this type of deal because the faster you get the plans in, because he mentioned building ADUs. So in order to build an ADU on a property, you have to get permits. So you have to hire an architect to submit plans to the city to get those plans approved to then build the ADU, which would be like a small unit. It could be a 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 4-bedroom, depending on how much space you have on the yard. The faster you get that into the city, the faster you'll get the permits, and then you can build on it and rent it out. We buy the house, we rent it out, we fix it up right away, and then we rent it out to cover the mortgage. And at the same time, we have our architect working on plans, get those submitted, and then within 6 to 8 months, we usually get the plans approved, and then we can start construction on building the ADUs. And when we shoot for at least 2 ADUs on each property, so that way we get the maximum cash flow per property.
Yep. And that takes us about what? Give or take 2 to 3 months. So once we get started, right, the city says, hey, you're approved, go pay all the fees. You gotta pay the school fees and the city fees. That's gonna range between 10 to 15 grand. So once you paid it, then they're gonna give you approved plans, and then we just send our contractor and let's just start building it out. So within the next 2 to 3 months, give or take, they should be all completed. And now we move on to the last phase of it, right?
So the next phase is refinancing the property. So the way that works is now that you've did the construction, you rehab the property, now the property's worth a lot more than what you have invested into it. So let's say you bought the house for $400,000 and then you have $200,000 invested into it from the construction and the rehab. So now you're all in $600,000, but the property's worth $1 million. So then you can go back to the bank and say, hey, look, I got this property, I'm looking to refinance. They send out an appraiser to the property, they value the home, they say, okay, this property's worth $1 million. They give you up to 75% of that appraised value. So you can get $750,000 from the bank. So what you do is you pay off that $600K that you have invested from the investors and lender that invested that money to do the deal. And then you could even come out with $150,000 for yourself. And that is tax-free because it's considered debt. So when you go and you get that money, you pull that money straight into your account, you don't have to pay taxes on it because it's considered as debt because it's coming from the bank as a loan. So we really love that strategy because when you do a fix and flip, sure, you can make $100,000 on a fix and flip, but you got to pay taxes on that money. So you're not really making $100,000 on that fix and flip. You're making less. Let's just say you're paying 30% on taxes. You're paying $30,000 to Uncle Sam. In this case, you don't got to pay any of that. Yes, it takes longer, but you don't got to pay taxes, and you have that monthly cash flow coming in now, and you get tax benefits for buying the property.
We're going to walk you through 2 deals that we just finished refinancing in December, right on Christmas. It was perfect timing. It was like the best gift from Santa. So the first one was Fessler. This one was with Eddie and I. So basically, it was a 15-month project, give or take 16 months. We had the property appraised. It appraised for 1.125. But the thing is, our whole balance on the whole property was $643. That $643,000 was the house, the rehab, and also to build the ADU. But because it appraised for 1.125, the bank said, we'll give you 75% loan of value, which came out to $843,000. So now they gave us a new loan of $843,000, but our balance was $643. So we paid off that previous bank. In this scenario was Lima 1. And now we had a spread of $200,000. And that's the money that we were able to get. And again, the reason why it's tax-free is because that's not income. We still have to pay a monthly mortgage to that. Now the new loan for Fessler is $843,000. And because of that, we're not going to pay taxes on it. And that's why, like he mentioned, we like it better than flips because you can make just about the same amount of cash, but the biggest difference is I don't have tax liabilities. I don't have to pay the 30-40% to Uncle Sam. And I'm sure you want to keep all your money as well. And now, really, the goal is you don't want to get all that kind of funds and then just blow it off, right? Buying the nicest things, buying chains and buying all this stuff, which is fine. You can, maybe a small percentage of it. But really, now the goal is to flip that into 2 more deals and just continually do it over the next couple years. So that way, you're never truly using your own money anymore. Now you're using the bank's money.
And another deal that I recently did is a property on Cook Street. That one I did with my partner Raul, and it was similar numbers, but a different deal. Every deal is going to be different. Not every deal is going to be the same. So we ended up buying this property for $320,000, but we ended up rehabbing the house and then converting the main house into the ADU, and then building a whole new house in the back, and then another ADU, a junior ADU. So this deal, it was a big lot, so we were able to build quite a bit of square footage. And when it was all said and done with the construction, we were all in about $650,000. And this one actually appraised for 1.3 mil. So we were able to pull out $300K on this one, and it was tax free. And then on top of that, this property cash flow is about $4,000 a month. So we got that cash flow. We were able to pull out $300K, and then we have this asset. I mean, technically, we still have that equity as well. We still have, what is it?
Another 25%.
Another 25% of equity. So that is how you create wealth in real estate. It's more about long term, not that quick money. It's playing the long game and taking doing the extra work to build that wealth for the long term.
And really, it's that simple. A lot of times people think it's really, really hard. But the best part about it is just knowing people that are in the game and know what to do. So when I first started 3 years ago, 3.5, or coming into 4 years now, I didn't know what I was doing. But what I simply did was, hey, Eddie, what do I do here? What do I do here? What do I do here? And he walked me through every single step, and I figured it out along the way. So now, if I want to look for a deal and if I find a deal, I know how to do the math now. And I have all the different guys that can help me out, for the architect to building the ADU, rehab, and also getting the loan for everything. So really, if you want to learn how to do exactly what we do, hit us up, right? Hit up Eddie, hit me up. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to mentor you and help you along the way by getting your very first deal. And we're going to show you all the steps. There's a lot more little stuff that you got to do. For example, like having an LLC. We didn't mention that, but we don't put those properties under our personal name, right? No. And we want to make sure that it's under an LLC. So that way, for protection, and then also it's separate from you personally.
Yeah, so we're looking to do a lot more deals in 2025. So whether you're looking to do some as well, reach out to us. If you're looking to partner with us, also reach out to us. We really think that this is the business model that's going to take us to the next level, and we want to bring as many people with us as possible. Thank you for watching this video. We'll catch you guys on the next one.